The exit, so on page, I believe on page 2, on page 3 of the staff report, that office building, the detached building, that is going to be demolished.
Okay, thank you. And just curious, since there's no landscaping at all, I wonder if we could require one tree, token tree, somewhere. All right, just kidding around, but it would be nice to see one plant somewhere.
Right, I can make that recommendation to the applicant.
Even something up the driveway, perhaps, some small plants.
Right, I'll relay that information.
That's all for me.
Okay, George?
Just to add a word in there, I can see trees to the rear of the office space that will be demolished, and also if you take a look up the right of way, you can see trees to the west side of that right of way. I don't know if you noticed that or not, Joe, but anyway, my question was your figure 3, Greg. It seems to me that they're going to be building. Are they going to be building on top of this? Is that what this is saying? I'm a little confused with that. Are they going to be building on top of this, and then not to exceed the 30 feet?
I agree with you. The plan is not 100% clear, and that's why we're waiting on elevations. The note on the plan just says raised roof of existing building. It did not specifically delineate which portions of the building.
Okay, because what it seems to me is that they're going to raise this. They're going to. I don't know if there's an existing basement in this building. Okay. And if they were adding to it, it would be a second story. But then I guess they're proposing to this new structure, this new height, an additional height so they can store whatever on what I'll just call a third story. I mean, that's what it seems to me, but I guess we'll wait for the elevations. I guess that's it. I guess that's it.
All right, and
we'll
I'll
have to wait for the elevations.
I'll find out if there's a basement as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so for some reason Ed can't get back on, but I am hearing him, and his only comment is, he has no issues with this. This is a great Riverhead business. Okay, with that, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, number 2, Aqua by American Beach snack bar conversion. Greg, that one's yours too, right?
Yep, I'm just getting my report out for it.
Okay.
All right, so the planning department for this has received a site plan application which proposes to convert the use of an existing 332 square foot detached shed structure, which is located at the site of an existing motel. It's going to be converted from a shed to a snack bar use for guests of the motel. The proposed action is a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, as it involves the construction or expansion of a non-residential structure less than 4,000 square feet. The subject parcel is a 0.91 acre parcel of land located at 15 Bay Avenue in Aquabog within the Residence B40 zoning use district. The property is located directly on a body of water known as Dreamer's Cove. Subject parcel is presently improved with a 1-story frame motel with a detached frame structure, which was issued a letter of pre-existing use on March 9th, 1998. The property takes access off of Bay Avenue, which is a 24-foot wide privately owned right-of-way on the south side of Peconic Bay Boulevard. The neighboring residential development, known as Aquabog Terrace, is located directly to the east with approximately 39 single-family residences. Just to give a quick detail of the permitting history of the subject property, there have been several building permits that have been issued on to the parcel since the town started issuing building permits in 1965, including a permit for an addition to the motel, which was called a solarium, the addition for another first floor addition, a second floor addition, And then there was a permit for a conversion of a recreation room into a guest suite. There were also commercial renovations for an existing lobby, laundry area, and hallways. During a site visit conducted by planning staff, it was noted that there was domestic water service and electrical service to this existing detached shed structure, none of which were mentioned in the letter of pre-existing use, which described it as a shed. It appears as though this work was done without the benefit of a building permit. Pursuant to Town Code 217-12H, the requisite building permit fees will be doubled as this work was done without the benefit of a building permit. On page 3 of my staff report, I've taken a picture of the existing detached shed structure, which gives its relative location relative to the water. It is located approximately 6.5 feet from a functional bulkhead, as I said, on Dreamer's Cove, and the surrounding area is a recreational relaxation area for guests of the hotel. In order to convert the use, the applicant went to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They went to the Zoning Board of Appeals because the town zoning officer had stated that the conversion into a snack bar represented a expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. The applicant went to the ZBA for a interpretation, and they found that during its review, the conversion of the use did not represent an expansion of the use. There were some conditions that the Zoning Board of Appeals put on their determination. First condition was that the shed building will be converted into a snack bar, shall not contain any cooking equipment other than a microwave oven. Number 2, that there shall be no expansion of the structure of the building within which the snack bar will be located. Number 3 is that no alcohol shall be served from the snack bar building. Number 4, the snack bar shall be used exclusively for the use of patrons of the motel and not open to the general public. And condition number 5, that these conditions be contained within the certificate of occupancy for the snack bar. In regards to parking, the survey that was submitted with the application does not identify any delineated parking stalls. They do have a gravel parking area with concrete parking stops, but it does not provide any sort of calculations on the plan. Staff notes that town code requires 1 parking stall per guest room and 1 parking stall per 300 square feet of any commercial use. Expressed. During the review, it was noted that during all prior building permits that were issued and prior expansion, there was never any parking calculations that were provided or any sort of parking analysis that was done. Based upon the fact, however, that the existing shed structure will be converted into a snack bar exclusively for use by guests of the motel, it does not seem necessary that this conversion would trigger the need for additional parking, nor is staff recommending any need for parking relief. Staff does recommend, however, that parking calculations be provided on a revised copy of the plan. Being that these calculations have never been identified throughout the history of the property, the planning board should be aware of existing parking needs in order to establish a baseline of information on the subject property. As far as the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, as I stated during a site visit, it was noted that the existing shed structure contained a functioning sink, which was installed without the benefit of building permit, and it is unclear where the sink wastewater is discharged. As per Suffolk County Department of Health Services standards, prior to the construction of all new buildings or additions with or without internal plumbing, changes of use, it will require approval from the health department. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, approval from the Suffolk County Health Department will be required for wastewater management as well as food service. The application does not require referral to the Suffolk County Planning Commission, as it involves less than 5,000 square feet. Any additional considerations that the board may wish to consider, including use of playing outdoor music, the requirement for filing covenants on the property, etc., should be considered and will be included in any approvals granted by the planning board. Now, being that the applicant has already had the Zoning Board of Appeals, they have had the public hearings as required by the Zoning Board of Appeals, and there were neighbors of the residential neighborhood, the Achabok Terrace. They did come out to speak about the application, which was part of the reason why the zoning board imposed the conditions of its determination. Being that this site plan does fall under the scope of administrative site plan review, the planning board, in its discretion, can waive the need for an additional public hearing on this application. If the board agrees that an additional public hearing is not required, staff can prepare an administrative approval and include any conditions that the board may require. And that's it.
Okay, Greg. So I think you bring up a good point about the music. Did you notice if there were any kind of speakers or anything set up where they could have outside music?
I did not note any speakers that were connected, either on the outside of the building, any of those little external speakers. I did not notice that.
Okay.
But if the board wishes, they can add something to that.
I would like to capture that in one way or another, that we're not approving outdoor music. Also, I'm pretty sure you mentioned that it's only for the patrons of the hotel?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any... Do you know how long that shed has been there?
The shed was issued a letter of pre-existing use, meaning it predates zoning and building permits within the town of Riverhead, which started in 1965. So it's been there since at least 1965.
Yeah, but has it? I mean, that's a picture you took of it, right? I mean, on that little pier.
Yeah. Well, I actually did take that picture from the hotel's website. The picture I took during a site visit didn't really orient the picture, so I think that was the best representation of where the shed is and where it's located on the property.
Okay. All right, and now, I'm just kind of debating. I guess I'll wait to hear from the other board members about the public hearing. I don't know if there are neighboring communities that may want to be heard on this. This could be a tricky one, and I'll defer for a few minutes until we hear from the others. Okay, with that, I'll go to Joe Bear. Joe, you with us?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay.
You were talking about the possibility of music. I was also concerned about hours of operation.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any lighting on the building, etc., right now, or should some be provided? Especially if they open in the evenings.
There is no additional lighting proposed. I mean, they do have, it is kind of like a beach atmosphere. They did have some string lights and such present on site.
Yeah.
I mean, the motel has been in operation. I don't think lighting is, it wasn't presented to be an issue for them at the moment.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, George?
The only question I have, looking at the picture that's rendered, figure 10, it looks like, what are they doing there now, Greg? It almost looks like it's a complete little area there now.
So, the exterior of the site, it's used for the guests of the motel. They can go out there, have some food and drinks. I did not see any sort of food service operations in the building when I saw it. It really looked like it was just currently used sort of for storage. So, they did have a sink and they did have electrical, but it really looked a lot for storage right now.
Okay. All right, so I guess all they're going to do is put some sandwiches in the microwave oven, and that's it. You can bring your beer or whatever to one of the benches that are right outside. I really don't take any offense to any of it, really. I'm good.
Okay. Ed communicated to me he doesn't have any issues either. Just one last question, Greg. Could boats pull up to this?
No, there is no docking or any sort of pier.
Okay.
There is no mechanism for that.
All right. How? And there was a public hearing through the zoning already, right?
Yes, sir, and that's where some of the concerns regarding alcohol service and use for the general public as opposed to guests of the motel. I believe that's where some of those conditions stems from.
Okay. All right, what's the board's feeling on a public hearing or leaving it as administrative?
I'd leave it as administrative myself.
And I'm agreeing with that.
Okay. And we base that on the conditions that the zoning has already put on it, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. And Ed is saying admit to, so, okay. So that's, we'll leave it at administrative with those conditions, Greg, okay?
All right, so now I can prepare an administrative resolution. The one thing, just to recap a couple of things, no outdoor music, live or amplified. Is that at all times, or do you want to consider that with the hours of operation? Not past 8 or 9 o'clock or in compliance with town code. How would the board like to address that?
I would say compliance with town code.
Right.
Hours with town code.
All right, I'll prepare that in the resolution before I distribute. When I distribute it to the board, I will present it to the applicant's attorney. If he has any objection or issues with that, I suppose he can write his concerns to the board, and we can address it at that point.
Okay, that's fine. All right, that's it, Greg?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, the next one is a Chapter 219 permit. John Flood, you're up.
All right, thank you, Stan. So, Planning Department has received and reviewed a Chapter 219 coastal erosion hazard line permit application to construct a 270 linear foot tall rock revetment wall using 1 to 4 ton stone at the toe of the bluff, terrace and plant native vegetation on the face of the bluff, import approximately 290 cubic feet of clean beach compatible sand, and install a wire bracketed silk curtain and stacked hay bales to prevent erosion during the demolition of the existing 2-story cottage and decks. The application proposes temporary disturbance within 50 feet of the coastal erosion hazard line and has to replace 100 cubic yards to regrade and reseed the area landward. With regard to SECR, this is unlisted action. Coordinated review is optional and is not recommended. The project site is located at 2304, 2308, and 2310 Sound Avenue on the north side of Sound Avenue within the Residence A40 zoning use district. The subject parcels comprise of a total of 4.46 acres, 2304 Sound Avenue being 1.4 acres, 2308 Sound Avenue being 1.71 acres, and 2310 Sound Avenue being 1.51 acres. The existing dwellings on 2304, 2308, and 2310 Sound Avenue parcels are located landward of the top of bluff and of the coastal erosion hazard line. With regards with the project engineer, access and staging of construction equipment materials and all machinery will be from Edwards Avenue, and water and the access route for inspection purposes shall be from Oaklight Avenue. All machinery, equipment, and materials needed to construct all proposed improvements will be stored above the high water mark temporarily, only during construction for the placement of rock. Erosion silt control methods to prevent water quality impacts during construction will be on site during the duration of construction period and will consist of a project limiting fence and hay bales or silt fence along the limit of clearing, grading, and ground disturbance. In the letter dated March 4th, 2020, the town's consulting engineer had the following comment to the proposed rock revetment: that the permit drawing has been amended in the manner and information provided on the updated survey that satisfactorily addresses our previous comments, and engineering review memo dated January 23rd, 2020. And at this time, engineering approval is recommended, and we note that a DEC title wetland permit has been obtained for the proposed work. After we received this, that the applicant submitted another application for the same project and property regarding the silt fence. And I sent Vinnie Gordiello a copy of the application for the silt fence and site plan. And the staff report was written in March, but we have received a memo back from Vinnie with regards to the silt fence and curtain, and at this time has no objection taken to the proposed work, and engineering approval is recommended for the silt fence and erosion control methods. With regards to the DEC, the application has received the DEC Tidal Wetlands Permit pursuant to Article 25. And as you can see on Figure 4 and 5, in Figure 4, during the site visit, planning staff noted that legal clearing of vegetation has been completed without a building permit and without planning board authorization. And on Figure 5, you can see that the erosion and silt curtain has been constructed without planning board approval and authorization. In the meeting between planning staff, the fees were doubled for the application, and since the applicant has submitted a check for the doubling of the fees with regards to constructing without authorization from the planning board. At this time, staff recommends that the planning board classify the action as unlisted and assume that the agency without need for coordinated review under SECRA and issue a negative declaration of the proposed action. Once the applicant has made an application to the zoning board of appeals, a letter is being generated for denial, so we can move forward with the ZBA. And once we receive their ZBA application, we will begin the drafting a SECRA resolution which will allow the ZBA to make a determination on a variance because of the temporary disturbance within 50 feet of the pulse erosion hazard line. Does the board have any questions?
John, you said they cleared it without a permit. Did we ask them why before we collected their money?
I'm not sure. It's when I did a site visit about a month ago, before all before the coronavirus pandemic began.
Right.
And recommendation was we just double the fees.
Okay. It just seems to be normal course of business on some of these projects. They go ahead and start and know what the consequences are, and then okay, we'll just pay double, and they, I don't know if they do it to save time or to get to the front of the line, but I just don't like that trend. Question from Ed: does the revetment impede the public's use of the beach at all, or will it?
No, everything will be above the high water mark, and with conditions with most of my Chapter 219s, I limit the access to the beach, so they will not be able to access the beach during the beach season or during when the piping flow is out. So there will be no impediment to the residents as far as beach access.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Yes. Can you, let me unmute.
Nope, Joe, you were unmuted.
You are unmuted.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
It's okay.
The 270 feet of rock revetment and the 290 feet of the clean beach, etc. Is that across all three properties?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wasn't too sure of. And in your figure 3, you mentioned a cottage to be demolished.
Yes, that cottage right on top. Yes.
All the way up on top? Wow. Pretty big.
That cottage, they're proposing to demolish that cottage, and then they're going to rebuild it further landward of the top of bluff, so it won't be within the jurisdiction of the DEC.
All right, that looks like quite a big building, though. Quite a job.
Yeah, really, I noticed on the site visit it was a pretty big building.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, George, you have anything?
No, I had the same question Ed had, but you answered that one, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda, number 4, Lowe's Home Improvement. I think this is just for our information. There's some still items that are outstanding, but John, you could just fill us in what this application is about.
Sure. So, the planning department has received and reviewed an administrative site plan application for the proposed location of outdoor sales, storage, and display areas for the existing Lowe's Home Improvement Center, with all materials stored outdoor in bags or in enclosed containers. The subject parcel is a 17.30 acre parcel located at 1461 Old Country Road on the south side of Old Country Road. The site is currently developed with a 159,901 square foot Lowe's Home Improvement Center store with associated site improvements. The subject parcel is located within the Business Center zoning district. With regards to SECRA, it is an unlisted action. Staff would recommend that coordinated review is optional, is not recommended. When we're doing a preliminary review of this project, there are current issues with the parking requirements. We're still waiting comments back from the fire marshal as far as what his comments are, and that's currently where the application is right now.
Okay, so there's really nothing we could even do with this until we have that, right?
Yeah, we're still waiting for fire marshal. I know there are some academic that we would want to get squared away with the site plan, since they're in for site plan as well.
Okay. All right.
I know that there is a resolution to approve this on the agenda today, but staff recommends that we don't approve anything until we hear back from fire marshal.
Right. I think did we take it off? No, I see it. We'll table that. Okay. Joe, do you have anything? Joe?
No, nothing.
George? Okay, George?
No, nothing until we get to the resolutions.
Okay, and Ed has no issues with the Lowe's. Okay, so there are no public hearings scheduled tonight. Public comments on resolutions. Carissa, are you still with us?
I'm here. There were no comments. There was nothing set for resolutions or comments for the meeting.
Okay, great, terrific. And just for the record, we had posted that we would receive any comments on resolutions or any general comments from the public on any matters to be received to Carissa by email no later than noon today, and she did not receive any. Okay, so with that, we'll go to the resolutions. The first one is Barclay Erler. That is the corner of Route 58 and Cromer Avenue. And Jefferson just sent me a note that the attorney, Chris Kent, for Barclay Erler is okay with the resolution for negative declaration. So if George or Joe
All right,
take this one up.
I'll move it. All right, I'll move resolution 2020-024 for Barclay Erler. Resolution to claim lead agency and issue a negative declaration. So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 24. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution's approved. Number 2, for Lowe's, we're going to leave that on the agenda because that's not ready to be acted on. Long Island Ice and Fuel, number 3.
All right, I'll move that as well. 2020-026, Long Island Ice and Fuel to classify site plan application as an unlisted action to pursuant to SECRA. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 26, Long Island Ice and Fuel. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And Ed is aye. So resolution 26 passes. Number 4 on the agenda, Long Island Cauliflower.
I'll move resolution 2020-027, lead agency status and SECRA review for the site plan of the Long Island Cauliflower Association Retail Center.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 27 for Long Island Cauliflower Association for lead agency. All in favor?
Aye.
And Ed is aye. So 4 ayes. That resolution is approved. Number 5 on the agenda.
I'll move resolution 2028-028, the secret resolution assuming the agency status in negative deck for the major subdivision application of Overlook Homes in Aquabog.
I'll second.
A motion made and seconded to approve resolution 28 for Overlook Homes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and Ed is also aye, so the 4 ayes, no opposition. Resolution is approved. Number 6 on the agenda, Great Rock Clubhouse.
I'll move 2020-029 for Great Rock Clubhouse expansion, granting final approval for the site plan application. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve resolution 29 for Great Rock Clubhouse expansion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Ed is also aye, so there's 4 ayes, no opposition. Okay, that's the end of the resolutions. Carissa mentioned there was no public comments received. Minutes of the previous meeting for approval.
I'll move the minutes of the previous meeting. So
April
moved.
16th. Yep.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from April 16th. All in favor?
Aye.
Ed is also aye. 4 ayes, no opposition. Minutes are approved. Just under other business, I know we had received the very detailed reports for the EPCAL subdivision as far as the application to DEC and Health Department. They wanted more information. It was furnished. We briefly discussed it at our last meeting. We did have some public questions on it. It was a lot of information to digest reading through it, and I think it would be appropriate, assuming that this is going to come back to the planning board at some time in the near future, that we get an update from the town's council, Mr. Eisler, on this. I'm going to ask Dick if you could arrange that perhaps for our next meeting, just to get a briefing and a summary on what all of that entailed.
Sure. Would you like me to have Mr. Eisler on the call as a participant?
I think, yeah, we should invite him to the next meeting and ask him if he could just summarize the most important parts of that information. I know it was made public on the town's website, so the public has had a chance to review it. But
Sure.
I think, before it comes to the planning board for final approval, I'd like to know what was enhanced.
Sure. I will discuss it with him and for logistics of how to get, when during the meeting you'd like him to be present and how you'd like him to participate. I'll work that out with you separately if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Just another question I got from Ed about Barclay Erler. Wasn't that Karen's application?
It was the last thing that she did, actually.
So, Greg, did you take that over, or did Jefferson?
I believe I will be taking it over. It hasn't been transferred over to me yet, but I'm assuming I'm going to probably take a few of her applications.
All right, so that resolution was for lead agency and negative declaration, so there'll still be time for parking and landscape issues for us to discuss, correct?
Correct, yes. That approval did not grant, that resolution did not grant any approvals. They'll still need to go through, site plan approval process. That was just secret.
Okay,
Greg,
thank you.
Stan, that was my question, and that was my question for on resolutions. But then after looking at the resolution, they have to come back to us anyway.
Right.
So
Okay, well, that Ed brought up the same question, so we just wanted that on
Yep.
the record.
Yep.
Okay, is
Another-
there?
Can I just jump in for a second?
Sure.
I had a note that the ZBA is necessary on this. Has that been gotten already, or are we still waiting? I know you haven't, but just make a note and just check that out.
Greg, you'll look into that first?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other business for the board? Okay. Okay, our next meeting will be, Thursday, May 21st, 2020 at 3 p.m. And with all likelihood, it'll be the same format as tonight. Went fairly well. A couple guys had a hard time, and one, I think, dropped off. So those couple minor bugs we'll try to work out for the next meeting. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, stay healthy, everybody.
Thank you and have a good
Stay
night.
healthy. Please do. Good
All
night.
right, stay safe. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Good night, all. Good night. Good night.